Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
No, and I'm Brian Mix.
There you go.
God damn it, Blue. Okay, one more time.
All good. Our Brian is not only our friend, but our man in the field for today's episode.
That's right, our
which
remote
we're going
reporter.
to talk about Star Wars Celebration. He's the only one that was actually there, so thank you for going. Well, not that anyone I think would want to go. And we're also going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2. There will be spoilers. I'm telling you right now. Here's the deal. If you listen to this show and you have Disney Plus and you haven't already watched those episodes, even though they've only been out for 4 days, there's something wrong with you.
Well, by the time they hear this, it will have been out for a week. So
that's
really
true.
No
there
excuse.
You go. Exactly. It'll be episode.
Although
3
I do have one comment, and I know well enough to avoid social media when something like this is coming out. But I will say, I do, and I know Daryl will say this is funny coming from me because I'm the one that spoiled a couple things for him at some point. But
I spoiled a girl show. But anyway,
I spoiled Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, I know. Which really, shame on him for that. But anyway, like within hours of this thing airing, I saw something that didn't really spoil anything major for me, but I will say I was a little disappointed in one of our mutual friends.
I saw the exact same thing.
Posting something that I didn't want to see that early, right after this thing had aired. So I'm not going to call him out by name, but...
Okay, are we going to get right into Kenobi here or what?
No. Oh, are we? We weren't.
I don't know.
Kinda.
No, I was just saying, this was really more a commentary on spoilers. Like, I think that there is some period of time the day something drops where you have to be more conscious of putting things out there like that.
I thoroughly agree with that.
So
I thoroughly agree because Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. You saw the same thing I did.
And I saw the same thing and it annoyed me. But anyway, we'll get into that. So don't spoil anything. We're giving you a warning. Or the only other thing I saw online was going to talk about Obi-Wan. Big letter, spoiler warning. And then I just scrolled on by. So
don't just blast into something without any kind of warning at all.
Even if it's it's just an offhand comment. It's a big comment. Anyway, so we were off last week. I was on vacation. I think, Brian lives in Anaheim practically, so I guess that wasn't really a vacation for you, was it?
No, not at all, because it was a vacation because we spent the last week packing the house. I could say on the air now, finally, I'm moving.
Oh,
to the
you
East Coast.
can? Okay.
Yeah.
We've been holding on to that one for a while.
I'm moving to Washington, D.C., just north there in Maryland at the end of June. So we've packed up pretty much. If I'm echoing, that's because my room is empty. All of my props are in a pod on their way to the East Coast.
And
it's kind of all of our worst nightmares, and you're living it for us right now, especially knowing all the things you have.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll have to do a show just on that. But
from your point of view, has it gone well? Like packing all of that, and like was it?
Oh, we hired professional packers, and thank God we did.
Wow, that's good for you.
Yeah, they put everything. They packed everything. The way they packed that pod, I mean, he was coming back to me going, "Do you have a box that's 6 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches? I got a spot." So literally every square inch of that pod is packed.
Basically Tetris. It's just
it is Tetris. Yep. And
they have a box that's Robbie the robot shaped.
I built crates. I built wooden crates for the.
I saw the pictures of the. I'm super impressed by that.
Yeah, I built crates for the robots.
The price of wood these days. That's a quite an expense.
It's $300 just for the wood for the crates.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
So the robots are all on the East Coast already, and I'm going through the attic now. So there's boxes of model kits and boxes of model kits and boxes of model kits, and could weed some of those out and ship probably most of them back to the East Coast.
Wow. Well, it'll be good. We'll all be on the East Coast, and you're within driving distance. So good to have you.
Brian, you didn't have a basement, correct?
I did not. I do
That's
now.
California. You're lucky.
Yes,
I
do
you're
now.
in such trouble. Okay.
So we bought a house the same size as this one with a 900 square foot basement under it.
That's great.
You are in big trouble. Okay. Now all limits are just it's like you don't have to be reasonable at all about what.
Well, you don't plan on moving. Hopefully, you'll just die in that house. That's
it
what
was
I
somebody
plan to
else's
do.
problem to pack that one up. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Exactly. Well, congratulations and good luck. And
thanks.
I just went through it with my mother. She moved. You're 30 minutes from her. So you're on my way.
We'll see.
I mean,
Lots of
the
games
good
on
thing
it.
is it'll be easier to get together with you because you'll be a lot closer to where the three of us are living. But
Yes.
the
Yeah,
downside is that you're not our weekend trip to Disneyland anymore to pick up all the stuff for us.
No.
Yeah, really.
No.
Our connection's gone. This is like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd thinking I'm going to drive to the next Rhode Island Comic Con because I'll just drive. That's
Yeah.
yeah. But cool.
It's a hell of a drive too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you drove across country, so it's not so bad. Yeah. Anyway, cool. So, and I was on vacation on like someplace with sand and water. I don't know how people do it, but they do it. I don't get it. But my wife does not listen to this show, so it's fine.
That was a vacation for your wife, not a vacation.
It was fine. I just did stuff. We snorkeled and did all that kind of stuff, and so it was good. But you know who's also good? So we're going to do a little bit different. We're not doing random. We're going to jump into because there's a lot of stuff to cover. But Fanboy Collectibles, check them out. There's a lot of stuff since we've been off a week. Hot Toys Doctor Strange, Hot Toys Scarlet Witch from the whatever of madness. Multiverse of Madness, whatever that's so forgotten. The Hot Toys Classic Spidey, which is awesome.
That is a great look. I know. I've been looking at that. It's like, it is. I mean, it's from the video game, but it is the quintessential costume.
It's like the John Romita sort of classic Spidey costume, which is great. Jada, we don't see a ton of stuff from them. Universal Monsters, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's the Creature from the Black Lagoon, a bunch of other stuff, but everything you need. Hot Toys and Sideshow and Kotobukiya and Jada stuff and Hasbro stuff and all kinds of Pops. I didn't even mention Pops. Which people are getting a ton of them signed. You see so much of that online. So good place to get them before you go to a convention. Check them out online, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. And Brian, you could drive there now if you wanted to. It's a little far for you.
I've never been. I've got to go by.
Yeah. Tell them the regular Joe sent you. Okay. So everything I saw online, I'm like, oh my God, there's like, to me, was the perfect time for a Star Wars convention because there was so much Star Wars. Obi-Wan just came out. They announced a ton of shows. Mandalorian is hot. It just seemed, and we've been to how many? 3, 5, 6 in Chicago is the ones I've been to. I think we've been to the same ones.
Yeah, same ones.
3, 5, 6.
Does Chicago not have a number?
Whatever.
They stopped numbering them after a while, so then they just started naming the city. So
we've been to 4 of them, and they've all been good. But this one just seemed like it had so much going on. Brian, did it have so much going on?
It did, but so much of it you could see on YouTube. I think that if you sat down and watched YouTubes for those 3 days instead, you would see 95% of what you could have seen at the show.
But the stuff that's on YouTube is the stuff we never got to see because you cannot get into those.
You can't get into everything. Yeah.
You can't get into the panels.
Because it was a holiday weekend and I was off, I did actually watch quite a bit of what was on YouTube and just the stuff that was official on YouTube, let alone the stuff people were filming on their phones or whatever. But the stuff that was official, talk about high production value too. It was all like 4K video. It was so professionally shot. I mean, all the major panels, with the exceptions of some of the things they blacked out just for the people in attendance. And then they had that other stage where they were interviewing people. It felt like all day.
That's that show floor stage, right?
So do you think, Barry, you just explained why so much of this stuff was broadcast was because people are videoing it themselves and racing to get it out there? So
I think that, and I think that Geico sponsored it. So the Geico must have paid them a small fortune to be the sponsor of it. And, there was certain things that they held back, like there were trailers for Mandalorian Season 3 that they did not release, but they did show the crowd there. And I think they did the same thing with Ahsoka. They actually showed some footage of Ahsoka, even though they've only been filming it for 3 weeks.
I've read descriptions of that, and specifically.
I mean, I still think the experience of being there and all the stuff, and you went on that show floor stage. I mean, that we saw Daisy Ridley, we saw lots of people in but I get a kick at him. He's like at the pinnacle of his Star Wars-ness.
Well, and
I think
jumping
right now.
just to the end of the convention for a second, I don't know if you saw the same video I did, Dave, but on Sunday afternoon, he made another trip out to that stage right in the middle of the showroom floor, and actually, it's only like a couple minutes. You should watch it.
I saw that, yeah.
It was a really heartfelt, like, he had said he'd never been to a convention before or never been to a celebration before, and it was like such a big deal for him, and he really appreciated even just getting to spend 10 seconds a piece with all the fans as he was signing their autographs or whatever.
Barry, who are you talking about?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, okay.
Like he didn't need to come out at the end of the day on Sunday and thank everybody like that. It was actually kind of cool that he did that.
Yeah. No, I would have loved to have gotten his autograph in person. I mean, I have a couple of them, but we've never gotten it in person. And I don't know what they were charging, what he was charging. I think it's semi-reasonable.
I think it probably about the same as what it was when we did the mail-in things. I'm guessing it was in that $300 range, but I don't know for sure.
As badly as this show was run, and it wasn't run very well, they did have some really good ideas. Like the main stage was standing room only. That was a good idea. So people couldn't sit down for the whole day.
Oh, like Hall H kind of deal?
Yeah. And it was
interesting.
It was at the very back of the exhibitors hall behind the displays. So if you were near the exhibitor hall, you could hear what was going on, even though maybe you couldn't see it.
Chicago was kind of like that, right?
Yeah, they had a similar setup in Chicago.
Yeah, because I remember
that was really smart.
Room only.
When we saw the Rise of Skywalker thing, the moment when I was most excited about that film, we were backed up to the. Yeah,
but they did put it out on screens too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, anything that was on that stage, if it was really big, they would have a streaming room, which is another ballroom you could go to and watch it streamed live, which I did a couple times because it was just impossible to get down there. And the John Williams concert wasn't really announced. We were there. We could have seen it if we'd known it was going on. John Williams played the Kenobi theme for the first time, and he played the Indiana Jones theme, and Harrison Ford came out.
Which is crazy. I'm shocked he goes to these things.
But we missed that, saw it on YouTube.
I did. I watched that on YouTube
that,
also.
That Harrison Ford appearance is officially proof of life. I think that's what that was. It's like, I survived the filming. It's like, yeah.
Well, what was funny, I don't know if you all saw it, but he came out and said that song follows him everywhere. He's like, he made a joke about like when he was getting a colonoscopy and that song was playing.
Yeah.
Which is just like only Harrison Ford would make a joke like that.
Yeah.
And then Kathleen Kennedy's like, well, do you want to give the date? And then he's like, oh yeah, wait, the date. And so June 30th, 2023 is when that movie's coming out. So we have about a year and a month.
That's about the fourth date for that, right?
Yeah. Well, everything. Yeah. So much stuff is pushed back.
So, how was that? A single image, which is an awesome image. That's sort of silhouette of him walking across.
That's
a bridge.
good. I'm glad they didn't put a whole thing out.
Yeah.
Yet. How was the floor? I mean, I saw a video of the running of the hoods, or
the show floor. The costumes were, I would say, not as plentiful, but over the top in quality.
Really?
Just amazingly good cosplay stuff at the show. Yeah. And there's the YouTube video someplace of there was a Mandalorian March, and there must be 100.
Oh, that's awesome.
People go buy Mandalorian costumes. They're not all just the Mandalorian. They're all
they're all Mandalorians.
All different.
Awesome. I've actually been wondering about that, whether that is going to become like the new Stormtrooper thing, because there's so much ability to change and alter the costume and stuff.
There's so much variety. I mean, of all the Mandalorian I saw at the show, maybe 10% were from Mandalorian, all the silver armor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe 10%.
That's great, because
that's been a thing for years. I'm sure it's just
and so many girls. It was really, really surprising. Yeah.
When you think about it, again, it's all a variation of the same armor for the most part, and then there's a million directions to go in terms of deco.
3D printing has changed cosplay forever. It's stunning the stuff these people can turn out quickly and at a very high quality. Yeah. So the show floor was interesting. It was consecutively busier every day. We only went Thursday and Friday, and it was getting bad Friday. I understand Saturday was insane. We did.
When we were in Chicago, I found that and we were there all 4 days, weren't we? It was manageable. We were there all
4 days.
Wasn't it manageable? Or
but it's still 50% of a Comic-Con. I mean, Comic-Con, you're literally you're bumping into people constantly the entire time.
It was never New York Comic-Con level.
Yeah, and Orlando was very that Orlando freaking.
Well, that convention center is so big,
massive.
Yeah,
massive. Yeah.
The R2 Builders room was off the chart this year.
Yeah, I saw pictures of that.
So amazing. And it shouldn't be called the R2 Builders room anymore because there were maybe 2 R2s in it. It was every other kind of robot you can imagine. Every droid you could think of was there. And I have to find his name. A guy has built an animatronic 3PO, which is stunning.
Really?
I mean, my 3PO moves. His is truly animatronic.
Really? Wow.
He was programming it to do the entire description scene from a Jedi when 3PO tells the story of Star Wars so far.
Really?
And it can do all of those movements. Yeah.
Is it standing or sitting or is it on something?
He's standing. And he bends and twists at the waist, his head, the elbows, shoulders, arms, wrists.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've got a video of it. I'll try to get to you guys. It was stunning. But so the R2 Builders room was off the hook. It was really good.
Did you make it to, or maybe, I don't know, it might not have gone out till Saturday, but they had Filoni and Favreau brought like a ton of Mandalorian props and costumes.
The Mandalorian experience. Yeah, we found out about it a little too late. When we went there, the line was 2 hours long.
Oh, wow.
So we skipped it. The Star Wars, the store, the line for the store was over an hour long, and they kept shutting the doors because it was too crowded.
An hour?
Yeah.
Me and Barry waited 8 hours on that
8
line.
hours.
We had special
Celebration
passes
3
the first year.
Yeah, Celebration 3.
It was crazy.
But last time in Chicago, I felt like they had an app and you just scheduled a time and that's when you went
that worked out well. I don't remember having a problem, but that first time was like, that was just nuts. That was
we were literally making friends on the line because there was nothing else to do.
We waited 4 hours on that line.
I think we did.
Really?
And we had vendor passes or something that got you on a special line, and the special line was 4 hours at 8 in the morning. It was just nuts.
That's the other thing about this show that I don't like, and it's very, Creation Connie, is they've got different levels of passes you can buy to get you to the front of the line. Yeah. And I don't like that. It's like if you're dedicated, get in line.
Yeah, the VIP passes, and
if you have money,
and they sell
money
out
trumps everything.
Anyway.
It's fine. I'll pay my way through stuff.
That's the way. Not just this convention, and not to say that but that's the way Disney is going in general with their parks and everything. So
yeah, it's terrible.
So do you want to talk about some of the other things that got announced real quick? I can run down the list. We can talk about them. So we knew Andor was coming, but now we finally have a date, right? That's August 31st. And we finally got to see some footage from that, and I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks definitely very, very underworldy.
Yeah. Bad Batch Season 2, they just announced, I think, on Sunday or yesterday as we record this. And they said in the fall, so we don't know exactly when, but looks great. The animation looks, the same, but maybe a little better, maybe even than last season. So that looked pretty good. I know Todd and I are probably the only ones excited about that here, but then they talked about Mandalorian Season 3, which they said is February 2023.
Did they say? Oh, they did say February. That's right.
February, and they did show a trailer, which I actually did see a video of it before it got pulled down off of YouTube. Looks pretty awesome. I mean, they are continuing the storyline. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it's definitely a continuation of the path that he was on.
Mandalore. Excuse me.
Yes, even in the Book of Boba Fett, the detour they took there with Mando, it's following that storyline. Which,
if you didn't know that, then you didn't watch last season,
right? But just seeing the footage that I saw looked pretty awesome. I'm sure at some point they'll release that for the masses, but I don't know how long it'll take. So Ahsoka, they said, is filming now. They did officially announce that Sabine and Hera and Ezra and Chopper are going to be in it. So it really seems to be more like live action Rebels than almost an Ahsoka show, because Ahsoka was a character in Rebels as well. So And Todd, I don't know if you read the description of the footage they showed, but
yes, so you got to see the back of Ezra's head, but it was clearly
and
him,
you saw Hera, and the actress that is playing Sabine was there, so you got to see what she looks like. And then that final scene from the final episode of Rebels, where they're looking at the mural, supposedly that mural is there in live action, and that final scene gets replayed in live action. So it takes off from there. So that sounded interesting. They announced a new show called Skeleton Crew that's going to come out sometime in 2023, starring Jude Law, directed by John Watts.
Which is crazy. Like, there's a whole show coming soon that we knew nothing about. Isn't that nuts?
And they said it's about a group of 10-year-old kids that get lost in the Star Wars galaxy. And it's the journey trying to find their way home. And they said it stars 4 kids, but it's not a kids show, is what they said.
So wait, are they from like Iowa and they get lost in the Star Wars galaxy?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that. I think it's 4 kids from the Star Wars galaxy.
The original title was Stranger Wars.
Yeah, exactly. But it takes place, as it seems everything does, in this sort of Mandalorian time frame. So
it does.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's like out of nowhere with a pretty big star too.
Yeah, and I mean, for it to be coming out sometime next year, it means they're pretty far along on it.
It still gives them what? So Andor is in one time frame. Is Andor in sync with Obi-Wan, or is it later than Obi-Wan?
It's later than Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Because Andor is 4 years before Rogue One, they said.
Oh. So it's 5 years ahead of, essentially.
So like it's about 5-6 years ahead of Obi-Wan. So it's a similar time frame. You're going to see like
that's
normal stormtroopers, but not. Yeah.
Yeah. And then but Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew are all in sync with Mandalorian, presumably.
Right.
Yep.
And, I doubt we'll ever see a second season of Book of Boba Fett, but if we did, that's also in that time frame. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're basically, so far it's only 3 time frames in live action. And
I happen to know John Watson. He's very excited that the kids get lost on Tatooine, somewhere in the sand. They're all wearing tan outfits, so it's very hard to find them.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
I've got a Boba Fett thing while we're talking about Boba Fett. Disney announced that Boba Fett will be appearing in Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, and actually I saw footage today. Somebody posted on Facebook. He's already there.
He was supposed to be there the first day was the day I happened to be there last Saturday, but we did not see him.
But it's the Book of Boba Fett version of Boba Fett. It's that style costume.
Because they're actually they're integrating Mandalorian and Grogu also. So
it'll be interesting. How does that fit with the timeline, though?
Or are they scrapping it because no one knew the timeline?
Wouldn't it be nice if they said, we don't have to stick to this Batu storyline and actually just
I think this is the first step in that direction.
Yeah,
because in theory, it's
after... It's around the time of between... I think it's between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Wait. Oh, it's
Rey there.
It's later because
Kylo Ren is there. Yes.
No, but I said it's between.
Yeah.
It's between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Was it always that? Okay.
Between 8 and 9. Yeah.
So Boba Fett is going to walk. He's going to use his gaffy stick as a cane, I guess. He's just going to hobble around.
And the other interesting thing is if you've ever been there, and I know you guys have, one end is Rebel, and the other end is
First Order.
First Order. Where does Boba Fett hang out?
Wherever he wants.
I'll tell you,
in Pixar land.
they're going to do they're going to shift towards Mandalorian era.
Yeah, lose.
Yeah. They've got to.
It would be smart to do that, even if those movies were not as divisive and not as
But it's not. It's just current content. It's not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would just make sense.
Not the direction they're going.
And
they got 3 series. They got 3 series set in that era. They'd be stupid not to do that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? Why did they pigeonhole themselves when? Don't you want to see Luke?
Because when they conceived it was the sequel era. but we're past.
Well, and I think they also expected. I think they expected those characters to go on beyond 3 movies as well, and I think that they were expecting this was the next 20 years of the franchise.
Yeah, I bet they did not anticipate creating a separate era in of its own, and it being this populated.
Nobody knew.
Think about, we're now looking at 4 series, whether they're ongoing or not, set within a time frame that's, 40 years off from this.
Right. So, and now that those movies have come and gone, and the most popular thing in Star Wars is Mandalorian and Grogu, how do you not incorporate that into
what I'm saying?
I'm glad they're doing it.
Plus Ahsoka, plus, all this, and then they're going to try to hook the kids in with this thing that's really,
it was
really for
when
kids.
I don't think Disney Plus was a thing when they really planned this out.
No, this was.
If you think about the park opened 3 years ago, and it was under development for 5-6 years before that. So
yeah.
This was in sync with the sequel plans, and I think they've known since the end of Mando season 1 they had to go this way.
Yeah, I saw pictures of Favreau and Filoni, I think, at Uga's or whatever, the tavern there.
Oh, really?
So they went to Galaxy's Edge, which is crazy. There were a number of people with pictures with them at Galaxy's Edge, which
and
is
I saw
cool.
On some of the footage I saw, one of the things I watched was the Rosario Dawson interview when she was interviewed on that fan stage, not the main stage. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember the actress's name, but they had the woman who's going to be playing Sabine with her. Mm-hmm. And she was saying that every day on the set that Filoni and Favreau talk about, we're doing this for the fans. Like she said, it literally comes up at least once a day, every day on the set. So, we've known for a long time that those guys get it. So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is the Filoni-verse. Okay. This is bringing all these characters in. This is way more Filoni than anything else.
Oh yeah.
And he did amazing stuff with that show that started out really not great. It was a little too kiddish and it was a little too slapsticky, and they made it into something excellent. And
once Lucas probably stepped aside, it got better. Probably.
I don't know, but when Barry had struggled to get me to go back and jump back into it. The first couple episodes, it was goofy, but it got great. And there's some of the best Star Wars period is in that show.
All right, let's go more. Let's keep going through the announcement.
The only other announcement I have was maybe the biggest announcement of the entire show, which was they dropped a trailer for Willow, the TV series.
No. Before you go with it, there's also another.
Here.
There's another animated series, right?
There's 2 other animated series. Yeah, there's the good one, and then probably the one that I don't care about.
So what are the 2?
There's a Tales of the Jedi, which I don't know a lot. I didn't make any notes about that one, but I know it. I don't know if it's an anthology or if it's a continuous story. I know I remember Tales of the Jedi being a comic book that was very
it's anthology. Yeah.
And I hope that's where they're going with this. And this is supposedly where we're going to see Qui-Gon Jinn. I think that would be great. I think there's a lot of untold stories in there. There's a lot of things that I read a lot of those comics. I think there's it's we've seen the Jedi through the lens of a very few characters, and I think it's time for this. Because we've heard about this mythology forever, but we've seen very little of it. The other, I'm a little dubious of.
Well, I mean, so I don't know. Did you watch any of season 1 of Star Wars Visions?
No,
because I did not. I mean, I tried. I watched 2 episodes and gave up, and so now they're apparently doing a second season of that. So
wait, what is there a Youngling show? I'm talking about what's the Youngling show?
The Young Jedi show.
Young Jedi Adventures. That one didn't even make my radar. I thought you were talking about Star Wars Visions season 2.
Young Jedi Adventures, which to me sounds like a horrible idea, because it is. I
didn't even hear about that.
Live action though, isn't it?
Is that? I thought that was animated.
Oh God. I'll look that up real quick while you guys.
I think that's animated.
We were texting about it.
I think that's animated. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Anyway, we'll look into that.
So pretty much whenever that series ends is when Anakin shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I think it's just a terrible idea. It's like, oh wow, I don't want to get too vested in this character because at some point they're going to be butchered.
I thought it was earlier.
It's a little earlier, but still, it's just the Jedi are doomed. Seeing them as kids, just like really.
No, so all right, so Tales of the Jedi is an animated anthology series, so we got that right. Yep. Let me see what this Tales of the Jedi Young Jedi adventure takes place during the High Republic era. Younglings. It doesn't say whether it's. I'd probably have to read more of this to figure out if it's animated or not.
I thought it was animated. I can't imagine.
It's early. It's far enough away from Anakin coming and slaughtering them. So
that's a good thing.
Yes,
that's good. That's a good thing. So did you make it to the prop store booth?
Oh yes. Oh yes,
I know he did because he sent me pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the best. The second best display was I'm blanking on the name of the place. The sideshow booth was amazing. I mean, the just so many things that you can order but can't buy. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ahsoka statue was stunning. The Rey statue. I know you guys don't collect statues, but man, the likenesses are impeccable.
Well, and I know Sideshow put up for pre-order, and I think they're actually up on Fanboy right now too. They're doing, which is shocking to me, 2 different 1/6 scale clone speeder bikes. One with a sidecar and one without, and it's not like it's the same bike, one with a side. They're 2 different, completely like 1/6 scale clone speeders from the Clone Wars era, which they look amazing. They announced a bunch of other stuff too that is going to be coming.
Before I forget,
Hot Toys and the clone and there was also a chrome trooper and a chrome death trooper that Hot Toys is releasing that looked really cool.
Yeah, their booth was amazing. The bust, the probably 3/4 scale bust of the Mandalorian, really impressive. Like $1,500, but really, really impressive.
Very cool.
Yeah, that stuff, the big
nice
stuff like that's always expensive, but pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And tell us about Prop Store.
Yeah, tell us more about
that.
So
Prop Store. So you walk into the Prop Store booth, and in the glass case is the Red 3 model that you can walk right. I mean, you get inches. I took a zillion pictures of it.
You have to send me those pictures because I'm saving all those pictures as reference. I'm going to build a model of that shit
and then sell it as original.
So here's the thing about this. I'm wondering about this model because it was a pyro model, and as I understood it, none of the pyro models survived.
Well, so I've watched a couple of videos where I think Adam Savage went there and filmed it, and the guy Dave from the Prop podcast went there, and Brandon Allinger gave a little bit more background. So it was a pyro model, but it was a pyro model where they were just shooting the back of it. So it survived because it was the explosion came off the back of the ship.
It was red 1.
It was red 1. Then they repainted it and they added 2 more stripes and made it red 3. And it is in A New Hope as red 3. In the obviously it's not after they replaced everything with CG models, but in the actual original movie, it is they've screen matched it. So it is definitely a pyro model, but it survived and got reused.
Okay.
And they say it may be the only full X-Wing model that survived and is not in the archives.
Yeah, because all those things are in the archives. That's the problem, or the whatever. So
and they didn't say who had it all this time and where it came from. I'm assuming it was somebody that worked on the production or somehow got their hands on it. But
we'll find out. But we can't tell you.
It is going to set records for sure.
Nothing
like that's ever come up for sale.
Hey, when did Dad build an X-Wing model? It's like,
it's the before that. A buddy of mine is a master casting person, and for a lot of these companies, he's the go-to guy when they need something in a day, because he can make a mold and cast something in a day. And one of the technicians from ILM found in his toolbox, when he took his toolbox out of the attic, all the bits and pieces of an X-Wing from pyro models. that had been blown up and cast pieces that were never used, and he was able to cast up all the pieces for a pyro model for an X-wing.
Oh wow!
And so I have a whole set of those. So we're really interested in seeing. I took a bunch of pictures, and I've got, of course, all of my model kits are in a pod in Maryland now, so I can't look to compare. But I'm really interested to dig those parts out of my box and see how well they match the photos from this show.
You know what the amazing thing is for me? I've built 5 X-wing models in the last few years, and I feel like I know that ship really, really well. But when you see that model, you see the pictures and the videos of that model, there's something about it that just looks different than every model kit that they have released ever. And it just looks right. It's the right shape. It's got the right, nose shape to it. And the fuselage is just a slightly different shape than what even the CG models of it. It's just
right.
You look at it and you go, oh yeah, that's exactly what an X-wing looks like.
Yeah.
So you're bidding.
That was not the best thing in their booth. So I'm walking by the next day. There's this big crowd around the booth, like, they're there for the X-wing. The X-wing standing, no one's looking at it. One of the assistant puppeteers for Yoda has pulled out a Yoda puppet from The Empire Strikes Back and is setting it up with all the little animatronic controls and hanging off to the side, and starts talking about operating the Yoda puppet. And it was stunning. I took a bunch of pictures.
It was an original puppet, or was it that?
No, he's actually he's recreated that. He's recreated that over the last X number of years.
It's a recreation.
But
okay,
it's that Yoda guy, the guy that has the place down in which is one of the St. Martin. I've been to his shop twice down in St. Martin. But he was one of the assistants on Yoda. And he has recreated
his own Yoda. Oh,
he recreated because that guy Gino Sabatini.
There's two. Yeah, there's 2 of them right now. There's the one that the Yoda guy made, and then there's the Gino Sabatini one.
Interesting.
And they both are animatronic, like full, like replicas of the original.
Okay. I thought this was in really, really good shape for
Yeah, there's no way those things
for latex rubber. But
Yeah, but it is amazing that they are now at a point where two sort of non-Lucasfilm employees have recreated an exact replica of Yoda, but yet Lucasfilm couldn't do it for Episode 1 or any of the movies that they tried to recreate a puppet Yoda in. But yeah, I mean, I saw some videos of that and it looked incredible. I'd love to see it up close.
Yeah, they had other stuff. They didn't only have Star Wars stuff. They had stuff. Well, there's an auction coming in June. They had a lot of that stuff there too, I guess, right?
I sent you guys a picture of the cabinet. The thing that really drew my attention was because I've got a kit of it, is one little section of an exploded TIE fighter. It's just this little spider leg thing. It was really cool seeing it. The detail on these parts that these guys did back then is amazing, considering you would never ever see it on film.
Yeah, well, that was when Adam Savage released that video this week. It's like a 4K video of him looking at that model, and they're so up close that you can literally read the decals that they put on the barrel of the cannon. There's this little like red decal that like you'd have to get up like this close just to see what it said, but it was clear as day in the video. I mean, that was mind blowing how much they're actually allowing people to film this thing and document it before it goes up for auction.
Yeah.
So I'm looking now for something that isn't Star Wars, but I can't find.
No, you're right.
They only did have the
Star Wars stuff there.
They've got a lot of Episode 1 lightsabers, and
I'd love to have one of those.
They have one of the Cantina band member masks and hands in the auction.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was your buddy's mask and hands, but from the text he was saying, I guess not. This is another found one.
Our friend has one in his private collection that I don't think he'll ever let go of.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think he would consign them, would he? I mean, but the prices are so crazy.
What I did think was interesting, and just. We'll spend some time talking about that auction catalog at some point.
Yeah, before the auction.
There's a few things in there that, listening to the prop podcast for the last 2 years, I'm looking at them and going, I thought that one of these prop guys owned that, and then I heard that guy Ryan say he consigned a few things.
He's 3 things he's got in there.
Yeah, I spotted one of them, I'm pretty sure.
The Blade Runner shirt, right?
Yeah, he said what they were. No. He has a Blade Runner shirt, but that's not the same one. He's got 3 Indiana Jones things in there.
Yeah, well, I didn't listen to that catalog show yet, so let me guess.
Oh, you did? Yeah, he talks about it in there.
I bet one of them is the Grail.
The
right?
Grail?
Because I saw it, I'm like, it's got the ball bearing on the bottom. That was the one he said he owned.
The Grail, I think there's 2 other things that I think they're all. Oh, the Webley from Last Crusade, and something else.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens to prop prices with the we were talking about the real estate market has turned. I'm very close to that right now, and with the Fed saying they're raising interest rates and the economy in recession, not recession. What's the word I'm looking for? When things get more expensive, it is called inflation. With inflation, the Fed raising rates and the stock market down, I'm wondering if the prices are finally going to turn on props.
Well, this auction will be and the Bitcoin way down, not Bitcoin, crypto is way down.
Yeah.
And a lot of at least the sort of new money is Star Wars stuff, $1 million, I'll buy it. Those people are in sort of the hole too, but the prices on this catalog are, to me, through the roof. So it'll be interesting to see, like that freaking Drake Frost armor, 30 to 50,000.
Where does I'm not familiar with prop store auctions as much as I am with profiles in history. What is there a reserve on there, or is this the first?
There's
bid?
Reserves, and there's suggested. The reserve seems to be the low estimate.
The low number of the expected. Yeah. Okay.
But they're really high. They're really high.
And I know we're going off on a tangent here, but that catalog, first of all, is huge. And second of all, I don't remember ever seeing so many iconic items in one auction before. Like it's almost like there's a bunch of people that are saying, if this is what props are going for now, I want to cash in, because there's some crazy stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
I'd
be curious to see.
I have a lot of friends in the movie business in Los Angeles who've lost their condos and their apartments because their landlords are cashing in on the market. It's like, get out of there! I'm selling this place.
Yeah.
But that might be the same thing going on in props.
I could be wrong. I think that X-Wing is going to sell for $1 million.
Well, you think what's his name's going to buy it? He's bidding hard against it, and he talks about it a lot on that show. I'm
going to listen to that on my way to work tomorrow. But
well,
I
good
can't
luck.
See how it won't.
Unless you're working in Boston tomorrow, it's almost 3 hours.
Well, I have usually 45 minutes in each direction, so I can.
No, I know. I'm just saying, but that's anyway. We digress.
Yeah.
Anything else about the show that
we skipped right over the Filoni action figures?
Yes.
I've been trying to send you guys a picture of it. I don't know if you've seen them or not. I guess
the Favreau one. Is there a Filoni one too?
It's both. They're doing both.
Well, the Filoni one's been out for a little while already. The Favreau one is brand new. It's the heavy Mando. I think it's Paz Vizsla is the character he plays. It's a 6-inch figure. And they that figure, I believe, has existed, but it was only a helmeted figure, and now they've got a Jon Favreau head. And actually, we were very fortunate that a friend of the show was able to send us codes so that we were all three of us were able to order that figure.
Thank you.
Oh
yes,
really?
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Yeah, very cool.
I just sent you a picture of it if you haven't seen it before.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
That's
awesome.
That was and Hasbro is knocking it out of the park.
We should say thank you, Eben, because Eben's the one that got us those codes.
Yes, we didn't say his name because technically he got a bunch of codes. But thank you, Eben.
Thank you.
Hasbro is doing a Vader helmet that is stunning. I mean, I don't know how the other prop guys are going to compete with these toys, because the Vader helmet looks fantastic.
That's the reveal helmet, right? I saw pictures. It's in all three sections of it, right?
All three, but there's no Anakin inside of it, so
you have to shave your head and
it's the reveal helmet without the Anakin, right? It's the reveal helmet without the Anakin.
But at least it's got so that if you do take it apart, it's got the full interior deco.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Poe's X-wing look great. And their Mandalorian helmet is so good. I mean, you go over and look at EFX's Mandalorian helmet. It's like it's slightly better, but it's not hundreds of
Well,
dollars.
I mean, and I say this with all love and respect. I don't believe anything that EFX showed is ever going to come out because nothing that they make for pre-order or put up as saying coming soon ever gets released. So it's crazy how slow they are at making things.
Yeah.
Did you make it to the Regal Robot, our pal Tom Spina's booth?
I don't know if I did or not. You guys should give me a heads up on that. I would have made a special trip.
I mean, I know they debuted their Gaffy sticks, which Dave and I have known about for a little while.
2 years.
They're doing. What was that?
Was it this year he showed it to? I can't remember. But anyway,
I think it was last year we saw.
Was it? I don't know.
Pieces of it, but they're doing 2 versions of that. They've got one that's actually scanned right off the one in the archives from A New Hope, and then they've also got the one from Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
They've got both of those, and those are
cool.
full life-size prop replicas, which look amazing. And then he's also got a life-size bust of a Tusken Raider that they scanned from all the pieces in the archives to make it just like the one from A New Hope, which looks amazing. All their stuff, like their life-size Chewbacca bust, all
that stuff is awesome. Then they had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
signs and magnets and all kinds of good reveals.
I would like to have met him. I've only ever met him online. I've never,
actually
met him in person. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I should have told you to go look for him. I know he was all over the place, and was it Saturday or Sunday? I turned on the YouTube feed, and the very first thing that popped up was him being interviewed. So I took a picture of him and sent it to him. I'm like, oh look, can't get away from you. You're on my TV.
Oh, I sent you guys pictures from the Obi-Wan Rancho Obi-Wan display where they had 3 of the Boba Fett missile launching figures in one case.
Yeah. That was amazing. And actually, cool, just what I also thought was cool, that stage that was in the middle of the show floor that they were doing all those interviews on, those chairs that are shaped like the cantina and that Beskar table, those were all Spina's pieces too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those were cool.
Yeah,
chairs.
He's got those coming up for the pre-order for the the cantina chairs. Yeah,
really? Oh,
yeah, those are cool. Yeah, you got a new house. You need build a cantina
chairs
in the basement, or at least a little
a
little Greedo.
They are cool. They do look
station.
just like the ones that Han and Greedo sat in, which is kind of
except without all the green blood.
Yeah, without the goo on it from Han shooting first.
Exactly. Well, anyway, we can go on and on about that. So I'm glad you got to go. I'm sorry we missed it. It sounds exciting. Next year, London.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did announce London.
Could be a possibility.
It's interesting that they're not even taking a year in between, but I guess they've got so much new stuff coming. Why not?
Yeah, it's interesting that it's April. Well, April in London, the Friday and the Monday, because it's around Easter, is a holiday. So maybe that ties into something of why they're doing it then.
Oh, you know what? I did forget one other thing real quick. They did also officially say that the next Star Wars movie coming out is going to be one that Taika Waititi's directing. So they didn't give a date yet or any other information, but there was originally talk that it was going to be the Patty Jenkins movie. Then they said it was going to be the one that Kevin Feige was working on, but they've now officially said the next one is Taika's movie.
Which is interesting. We haven't heard a word about Patty Jenkins in a long time.
There was a Vanity Fair article that came out 2 weeks ago where they said that the Taika movie now is going before it, but they claim in that article it's still happening.
They also claim that the Rian Johnson trilogy is still on track but pushed back.
No, I think what they actually said about that was if they can get the timing to work, then, it's not in pre-production or it's not in any kind of, it'll never happen.
Timing is a time when Star Wars fans don't hate his guts. So I don't know if that's coming.
Or at least half of them.
I've got one more story that I texted you guys, but I want to tell it on the air. Lawrence Kasdan is making a documentary about ILM. And it takes place mostly during the Star Wars era, the model building era. They talk a little bit about the 3D graphics era. But they had a panel at the show with Dennis Muren, Phil Tippett, Joe Johnson, and Ron Howard were all there live talking about the early days of ILM. They showed a lot of clips with looks
I would have liked to have been there just for that.
Pictures.
Yeah.
It was really a great panel. But the funny story is Ron Howard was talking about his involvement in ILM and how he started off, just being an actor working for George on American Graffiti. And it's funny this he said American Graffiti, and like 3 people clapped because nobody there was old enough to have seen American Graffiti. And he talked about, and then with Cocoon, he began to work with ILM. And when he said Cocoon, it was some good applause. People like Cocoon. And then he said, and then I really got into ILM when I worked on Willow, and it was a big applause for Willow. And
so Barry, you were there.
Immediately thought of Barry.
How was there a big applause? Oh my God.
It was a big applause. And
because people like that movie, Dave.
No, that's not it. There's got to be something else.
And then, however, when he mentioned his daughter was working with ILM on the new movies, the place went crazy.
That I could get behind.
They just
many ways.
Well, let me just say this. I don't think that Disney Plus would be making a Willow series if they didn't have some data that says that there's some fan base.
It's you. They have data on you.
It's not just me.
There, you just keep hitting send on that same form. I want more Willow.
I will say this: the trailer looked good. So
I haven't seen it.
Screw you all. I can't wait for my Willow.
I wouldn't not like something just because I'm a jerk. That comes into other things, me being a jerk, but that was one of the worst freaking movies I've ever seen. I'm sorry.
The
sorry.
ILM Light and Magic documentary comes out in June on Disney Plus.
Oh, good.
Well, that I'm looking forward to.
It'll be great.
I'm also looking forward to November when I get to see the Willow TV show.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a show that we can all watch right now.
We can all watch. All right, we've been going a while, but anyway, let me do this actually for ourselves and our loyal listeners. But
we're not worried about runtime tonight.
Yes, exactly. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Spoilers. There will be spoilers. Episodes 1 and 2. I gotta say, even I know we've talked about it and stuff. The couple weeks leading up to this is the most excited I've been about something coming to television in a very long time. Whether you know or not, young Obi-Wan, as much as people hate the prequels, is my favorite character. I don't know why, but he is. I just think he transcended the material. And he's sort of like not the best at everything, but he just always got the job done. Anyway, I was super excited about it. And I didn't watch it until we were away, so we watched it last night. Finally.
So you had to avoid the.
I gotta say, I did. Other than that thing we mentioned, I did not see any spoilers. Other than someone saying Obi-Wan, there was going to be spoilers. I really didn't see much. So
that's good. You avoided it then. Yeah.
Yeah, and the freaking the snail's pace internet down in the islands was just not helpful.
Well, I guess that's helpful that you couldn't have gotten on the internet if you wanted to.
Dave, you said you didn't think you'd be able to watch it till Saturday night. Was what I think you'd said.
Yes.
I actually held off till Saturday night, and I watched it at the same time I thought you were watching it.
Well, okay. I'll do. What I didn't mention was, so we had a 4:00 flight out, and it's only a 3-hour flight from Turks and Caicos. Our flight was delayed 5 hours. Thankfully, we found that out, and they while we're still at the resort, not at the airport. And if you've ever been to the Turks and Caicos airport, you don't want to be there for 5 hours. So we did not walk into this house until 3 a.m. So
gosh,
that was brutal. So yes, I appreciate that, but I did not watch it until last night.
And I thought we waited because my son Brandon wanted to watch it with us, and he was working until 8, so we didn't start watching it till like 9 o'clock Friday night. And I thought I waited a long time.
So did you guys watch 1 and 2 back to back?
Yes. I had a root beer float break in the middle, but I
wish I had, because if you watch them because we watched the 1 and then we delayed a day and watched the second half, I was really worried. I was really concerned because the first episode is kind of a downer. And not a lot happens, and it's a lot of Obi-Wan, you suck.
It's setting the stage for where he is in this place and time.
Why they released the 2 together, because it is the first one is a downer. I would also say this was 1 episode in 2 parts. I mean, there was no it was just
a 2-hour movie.
It totally was.
And it works perfectly fine. Dropping the 2 of them together. But if you, like you said, if you had a week in between, you'd be like, wow, this is going to be good.
I was worried. I was
Yeah.
I was worried for a day till we saw the second one.
I didn't. It's funny. I mean, we're going to jump all over the place, but I did not expect him to be. I was like, he's a badass. He's going to be a badass, and he's not, which will make it so much more of a payoff. I'm hoping when he gets his act together.
So this, the Obi-Wan we've seen makes me reflect on the Luke of The Last Jedi in a whole different light, because you saw what it did to Obi-Wan training Darth Vader. What Anakin did after the training Obi-Wan did really set Obi-Wan back. Like,
yeah,
I'm not a Jedi anymore. I don't want to be a Jedi anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Which is exactly what Luke's reaction was with Ben Kenobi. I'm sorry, with
Solo.
I've heard
Ben
that
Solo.
argument, and I disagree. I think Kenobi has a singular task, and he's doing exactly what he has to do to pursue that task.
And the other thing I would say is that
and the
Luke
fact that
didn't.
I'm just saying, the fact that he thinks he's going to be training Luke, okay, to the point of getting into conflict with Owen about it, okay, I think he's basically put everything in his life on pause because he has that responsibility to fulfill. And that means going to the meat packing plant every single day and
the meat packing disgusting fish that's
that's
in the Twin Suns.
I want to talk about that, but I also just getting back to what you said. I think that the big difference though is that Obi-Wan knows that Jedis are being hunted, and if he outs himself in any way, shape, or form, he's dead.
And
where Luke made a choice to cut himself off from the Force and exile himself.
But he's not. Obi-Wan is not protecting himself to protect himself. He's
protecting himself to watch
because
over
he's
Luke.
the protector of Luke. Okay, and I think he actually has to be dragged to the reality that he has to extend that protection to Leia. But I think he's singularly focused on Luke's well-being.
I think that if we had seen this before The Last Jedi, you would have felt a lot better about Luke in The Last Jedi.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't.
We
Let's
knew
not.
Obi-Wan
It's
was
an
a
interesting
hermit.
theory.
We knew
not bring this
Obi-Wan was a
down.
hermit watching over Luke. Okay.
Yeah.
We knew that. This is not a change at all. Okay. Obi-Wan could have been out there trying to restart the Jedi. He could have been doing all these kind of things. Could have been running the Underground Railroad for Jedi. Okay. Could have been doing all these other things. But in his mind, he has one job, and that is protect that boy. And that's what he's doing.
I agree with that. Here's the thing. It's like, and I don't know if this is a show issue or a him issue. If he at some point had to train him, but he's basically given up being a Jedi, he struggles with any powers whatsoever. How would he be able to train him?
Okay. So my answer to that is, okay, because I've been thinking about this. Okay. Vader could sense Obi-Wan, right? Remember?
Now, apparently, at the end of that episode.
No, but I'm saying
Definitely,
Vader.
yeah.
No, Vader could sense him on the Death Star.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think you don't use your powers. You don't tap into the Force. That's suppressed. Okay, so I think as long as Obi-Wan goes without, you see what I'm saying? Basically, doesn't flex those muscles at all. Doesn't use those abilities. Doesn't reach down to that at all, he is undetectable. And I think that's what he's trying to do.
Well, he may be undetectable, but clearly
He's pretty broken. He said it himself. He's not the man he used to. He
Because
was.
he's-
But Anakin
he's
also thinks
suppressing
he's
this
out there
huge
somewhere,
part-
which
he's
is
suppressing this huge part of who he is that's been who he was since he was a child.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
what happens at
doing
the
it.
end of the second episode creates what Todd said. When he reaches out, right, and boom, all of a sudden,
well, but
He's-
he
he's-
also
he opens that
believes
door.
that
Yeah.
Anakin believes that Obi-Wan's out there, which is why he's got
Oh, of course,
the
yeah.
Inquisitors
I
specifically
totally agree
looking
with that.
for him, and that's why he's got a subgroup of the Inquisitors specifically looking for him. Clearly, I mean, Reva's not acting on orders from her superior; she's acting on orders from Vader.
I don't think he senses
You think
Obi-Wan
so?
at all.
You don't think
Yes.
there's history there? You don't think she was somebody that feels like he abandoned her or something like that?
No, no. Oh, well, I think that the reason they gave us that opening scene is I think she's one of those Padawans.
I do. I absolutely think she's one of those kids, and I think she feels that
there is a little girl that looks like it could be her.
I've
watched the episode a couple times now.
I think, Barry, I think that's exactly what it is. I think we're going to get this. We're going to get the Hawkeye Black Widow confrontation, or Hawkeye Yelena Belova confrontation, where basically she's saying, you left us behind, and all this kind of stuff.
You think she thinks that Obi-Wan left them behind?
No. So in that opening scene where they're at Order 66
scene, yeah.
One of those little kid Padawans looks like it could be who she grows up to be.
Okay.
I went back and rewound and for that purpose, Barry.
You watched it on tape? Anyway.
But no, what I was saying though,
everything
outside
slow
of that,
tracking. It's good for more than just porn. Okay.
Clearly Reva is, the fact that she takes, and I don't think that the Grand Inquisitor is dead either, by the way, yet. But the fact that she
giant hole in his stomach. But anyway,
the fact that she takes him out because she wants to be the one to bring this prize back to Vader. I think that she is specifically working on behalf of Vader and not really caring what the hierarchy of the Inquisitors.
Yeah, totally get that. But who do you think she blames for not helping her? Obi-Wan? Or any Jedi?
But they even say in the show, and this also goes back to Clone Wars and Rebels, where the Inquisitors were, that most of the Inquisitors are former Jedi.
Yes.
Or so.
Or people who have
kids right there who were, scared at, the fact that Order 66 was going down. And we don't know yet how whether those kids died, whether those kids were captured and taken back to be trained as Inquisitors. We don't know yet. But I think that she, I don't know that she blames Obi-Wan, but I think that
this is personal. This isn't just.
You think? I could see.
If she had a mandate from Vader, she'd be dropping that in the table. Okay, she's. I think this is personal.
Interesting.
And I think she basically outs Vader's existence just to hurt Obi-Wan. I think she is coming after him with a vengeance, and I don't think that's something you can borrow.
We don't. Well, it will be revealed if that's the case. Why? Yeah. But I do get what you say, because they were saying that they found she was living in the gutter, so she was obviously force sensitive if she was that kid who wound up in the gutter, and no Jedi came to help them. So maybe she just has a thing against all Jedi. I could see.
Or maybe the Jedi she thought the Jedi should have protected them against Order 66.
So she just
there was also only a couple of top Jedi that potentially might have survived. So
right, but also knowing that that, like I said, that he was one of the ones that survived.
Yeah, I like that theory, Barry. That's interesting, because if like Yoda and Obi-Wan were the only two we know who survived, like you didn't go try to gather up any young
they cut
and
run
stuff?
as far as these kids are concerned.
Okay, I can see that.
And don't forget that Jedi
reason...
that was getting passes for the people to travel places like that was a leftover Jedi.
I don't see any reason for, after doing the recap that they did, that long recap, inserting that scene. Going back.
No, that scene was there for a reason. It wasn't just to remind you that.
That's interesting. I
going
did not
back
catch
to
that at all.
A time prior to the end of the recap, because the recap took place after Order 66. Okay, the recap ended after. So then they rewound, showed that scene, and then fast forwarded 10 years.
I also
something
see
in that scene, and
once
it's
we
not
find
the kid that Obi-Wan let die. In fact, I was actually kind of thinking it would have been interesting if she recognized him, but the kid.
But I do think that there were a bunch of Jedi or Padawans or Jedi in training that got away and survived Order 66, but there were only a couple of
rebels.
Lead Jedis, and that were unaccounted for, and Yoda and Obi-Wan are two of them.
And it does make sense. You have to, I mean, in theory, you're a Jedi, whether you're down on your luck or whatever, you automatically turn to the bad side unless you were sort of not well trained and like they abandon us.
And I think you had to be young enough that they could turn you. I think that most of the older Jedi probably wouldn't have been turned.
Exactly. And that's the thing.
That's good.
They were impression, and that was because and now it goes back to the concern with Anakin, was that he was of a certain, he had to be, his training had to start within a certain time because there was that window to operate in. Anyways, we're talking about speculation at this point, but I mean, overall, what did you guys think?
I just need more. I'm not in a bad way. I'm like, I just wish there was more. I will
tell you, there was nothing in this that was not what we talked about our expectations were. We talked about young Luke, young Leia. We talked about she gets kidnapped and he's got to go. We laid out the plot of this.
We did?
2 years ago. At least I did. You could go back and listen. I said she gets kidnapped. He's got to leave Tatooine to rescue her. I'm watching this and I'm like,
but you didn't know it was going to be Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I
was like, is that Flea? I was surprised. I thought in the back of my head, we'll see young Leia. It was confirmed by people who don't know how to work social media. And I was shocked.
I didn't know up until that morning that young Leia was definitely in it until I saw a post from somebody.
We talked about almost exactly this plot line.
She's in it a lot.
We were saying we did like 2 years ago when we were saying he had to get off Tatooine.
Yeah, Todd said he's got to get off Tatooine. Maybe he'll go.
Oh, I get that. Yeah,
okay. And this was the reason to get him off Tatooine. But. And again, no, I am not in any way disappointed by that. I'm just saying there's got to be things that are better than my imagination, our collective imagination, that we're going to see. I like everything we see. I like him being at least projecting, being very downtrodden and very, he's been suppressing his abilities for 10 years.
I didn't see that coming. And, it will make the payoff when eventually he has to really be the Jedi he was at some point. I really didn't. I thought we wouldn't see him being like the vulgar boatman or whatever he is.
Yeah.
But it'll make the payoff so much better.
I want to know the story though. Sometime in the last 10 years, he lost that mole on his forehead. I don't know how that happened.
Did he have it taken off in
Apparently he had it taken off because he does not have it.
He doesn't.
And he does not have it, and it's on my action figure. But
he's the Radar O'Reilly of
I think it's the like he was in a fight. The last lightsaber really close.
Just took it off.
He talk for a second about that giant fish thing. Like so, Tatooine is an interesting planet.
We're talking about moles here, and you want to?
No. This is more interesting to me.
Take it away.
It's an interesting planet that it's covered in sand, but there are giant crate dragons, and now we clearly know there's some type of giant sandfish.
Well, I think that was
why would anybody live there? It's a really
well, but like, how is that fish still fresh that you could mine it? Or
looks
whatever?
like they've been cutting meat off that fish for 20 years, and
years and years. Yeah,
I assume that was one of those under the sand creatures that they had killed above ground, and now we're like,
it was huge.
I know, but maybe they're huge. I mean,
that's funny.
I find in general, I would love it if we could spend time on other planets other than Tatooine. But just the fact that they keep bringing these bigger and bigger creatures out.
Look, just to say, Tatooine sucks. Okay, I mean, there's
funny.
Exactly. Why does anybody live there?
Every time I see Star Wars and Luke says it's if there's a bright center of the universe, this is the planet it's farthest from. No, that is the center of the universe. Yeah. Everything happens.
Everything happens there,
and that's
everything revolves around that planet.
It's a backwater outer rim planet, and yet they send 3 Inquisitors there.
Because they had heard that there was a Jedi hiding there.
Oh, they did, but again, they sent 3 of them, and it's like to get this kid with no training,
but there's a ton out there. That's something. That's a.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it can't be that. It can't be that dangerous to be a Jedi if you have a guy pretending to be a Jedi
who can pretty much walk away from that.
Get money out of people.
Well, but I think that. They know, they can tell, they can sense right away whether.
And she totally didn't even kill him. She just ignored him.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's
Yes.
not a Jedi. Because he's
not a Jedi.
Because he's not a Jedi,
okay.
so he's not.
Hey,
worth-
if you hate the
On
Jedi,
every street corner on that planet, there's somebody working the "I'm a Jedi" scam. Okay,
and they're probably happy about it because they hate
and
the
clearly
Jedi.
the brown cloak doesn't indicate Jedi, because if he's trying to hide, why is he wearing his brown cloak?
I know.
I did
Well,
like the
everyone's wearing
fact
a
that he
cloak.
was both a fake Jedi and was in awe of actual Jedi. You know,
Yeah.
and that this was you know, the two, you know, there was another comedic bit in this that I also really like. I love the Jawa interaction back in the cave.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
If you're going to steal my own stuff and sell it back to me, at least you can clean it. You know, it's too much
Cleaning
money.
costs
I've
extra.
I've got a tribe to feed. It's
that was funny.
It was good, and that was a nice bit.
Oh, and just the fact that the Jawas, we've heard from Mandalorian, Jawas don't smell good, and they're hairy.
He's talking about
The fact that
he's
he's
got
telling
soap when
Obi-Wan he
was an
smells
anchorhead.
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hey, Amy Sedaris' character dated one, so you know it's just,
And we've got to talk a little bit about that actress who plays Leia. She is amazing.
Fantastic.
Just
And
yeah.
no
How old
way
are
in
you?
hell
Like
that's a
10.
10-year-old.
You don't talk
But-
like
Well,
you're 10.
she-
You don't
but-
sound like you're 10.
I agree with all that, but and I don't know anything about what kids are supposed to be. She seems like she's 6 to me.
6. I said it tonight. I said 6 to 7 tops.
Why
Okay.
would they do that?
Maybe it's a very small kid who may actually be like 10 years old, and they think they can squeeze a couple of years out of her, but she
I also
does not
think
look
that-
like a 10-year-old kid. Okay,
she looks like a 6-year-old kid, right?
But
Am I
I
wrong?
also
I
think
would
that
say-
they
I
needed
would've
an
said-
actress that
I
had
would've
those
said
chops and could pull it off, and she is.
She could be a small 8-year-old. Okay, but you know, the kids who start in my school are 10 years old. Okay, I mean, it's like this is I know what 10-year-olds look like.
Even the way
Luke
she
playing in the backyard.
Hey, Grogu's 75. They age at different rates on these planets.
that's true
Look
too.
at Obi-Wan, right? He's going to age 30 years in the next, the next.
Yeah.
So,
But that's
So-
interesting because to me, I'm looking at her and I'm like, I don't know the ages of kids or what they're supposed to be, but to me, she looks
seems
very young. Even though she ran was like very little kid, but you may have hit something. Could they have picked a kid that they plan to do either A, a second season, or B, a whole nother show with to keep some kind of continuity, and let's get somebody who we could sort of call 10 even though she's 7, and we can hang on to her until she's like 12.
And I think that's because
Well, and
tricky.
she's 10 years old now. I've just looked her up. So when they filmed this, she was 8 or 9.
Is she though? I looked her up on IMDb.
Born in 2012.
Yeah. I will say that the fact that the age doesn't seem right. Other than that, the kid was awesome.
Yeah, the kid was
Yeah,
great.
she was.
Very
Okay.
great.
When she took down her cousin, okay, that was just great. That was
That kid
total
was
Leia.
a prick.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, he was a prick. But he's like, but you know what? I know that kid. Okay, she just sliced in him, cut him down to pieces, and just blew him away. And that was total Leia in that moment. Okay, the sitting in the
That and when she
trees-
said, "I'd rather be digested by a jackal beast," that was total Princess Leia.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying the thing in the tree where she was like calling out the starships, and it's pretty clear she was reading off a cue card. It just didn't. It was like, oh god, this is not going to be good. Everything after that was actually really good.
Yeah, the way she talked and the way she ran was very young looking. But
Yes,
I bet we're going to see her in something else or another season.
I thought she was terrific. I think she fit the character perfectly. I thought the little turn where she decided that that Obi-Wan was lying to her was a little odd, because it's like clearly they're looking for him, okay, and the fact that this guy's got a hollow of him like that convinced her that he was the bad guy. That was odd.
I thought that wouldn't make sense. Like, she thought he was like some secret agent coming to save her, and all of a sudden, a whole planet's looking for him. That would freak me out too.
And I thought that whole sequence showed that she has really good instincts, right? Because how can I trust you when she even says to him, "How can I trust you when I know you're hiding something?"
And then she was also like, "Wait, the reason they came after me was because of you, not because of
She
me."
was bait. She realized she was bait.
That freaked her out a bit. Yeah,
Right.
that all made sense.
Yeah,
And
again,
I think the writing and the jeopardy is fantastic, considering we know those two characters don't die.
Right.
Still, the jeopardy was
Yeah,
still
I'll give you that. Yeah,
lots of suspense there, even though we know nothing was going to happen to them.
yeah.
Right? You were able
True.
to suspend that disbelief completely. It was such a good action sequence.
Yeah, I also like the whole Owen and Ben and Obi-Wan interaction. I mean, it's really like, this stuff you just don't think about.
Well, they've
When
aged
he dropped off the T16 model, I was a little yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the whole.
But I love that he threw it back at him. I mean, we know he gets it in the end.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Joel Edgerton that is playing Owen perfectly. It's a great in between the the one we saw in Attack of the Clones and the one we see in A New Hope.
Right. But I also think that character feels exactly right for who he needs to be. Okay. He was never, at no moment was he protecting Obi-Wan. He was protecting Luke the whole time.
Yeah.
And that is both of their imperative. They have two totally different perspectives on how to do that.
Well, and I love that line when he asks him how Luke is doing, and he says, "You don't care how he's doing, you care if he's showing."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was a great line.
I wondered if like I said, how much he knew, and
we talked about this a few weeks ago, though. If you remember, we were questioning what does Owen actually know, and what does Obi-Wan know? And
now it's very clear. But the question is, does Owen know? I don't think Owen knows that Anakin is Darth Vader.
No, well, no, neither.
Well,
obviously, neither did.
I was
Obi-Wan.
actually wondering whether anyone other than the Emperor knew that prior to that second episode.
Well, no. Everybody, Obi-Wan knows Anakin turned to Darth Vader. He didn't know he was still alive.
Right.
No. I don't think he knows he's changed to Darth Vader.
No, he does, because
he knows
in Revenge of the Sith they show him
Yoda
watching the
says,
hologram of the Emperor saying, "You are now Darth Vader."
Yeah,
so he knows that that's his name, but they think he's dead.
Yoda says he's no longer Anakin; he's only Darth Vader. So they know that he doesn't know he's the guy in the black armor.
But they think he died.
I think he's dead. That's what was so key about that. I wasn't sure. I'm like, wait a second. As I'm watching the second episode, I'm like, does he know that Anakin's alive? And he doesn't.
No, but Owen also probably doesn't know that. Owen might not even know that Anakin turned to the dark side. He just knows that he died, and that Obi-Wan.
I think that
interesting.
I think they think that he's a charcoal briquette, and I don't think anyone, other than that, till that moment, I don't think anyone who in his prior circle knew him to be alive.
Well, they had to tell him something. They're like, hey, we need you to watch this kid. Oh, why? Oh, don't worry about it. No. His father's Anakin. He turned to the dark side. I bet he. Owen.
Well, his father died.
Oh, do you think he told him that? I think that they told him that his father died and that the mother died in childbirth, and that his father died. You fill in the blanks. His father was a Jedi. All the Jedi have been murdered. Okay, you don't have to say he was the one pulling the trigger. Okay,
right.
All the Jedi are dead.
No, that's not true, because he says he has to be trained, like you trained Anakin. So they know Anakin turned to the dark side.
But that could just mean that Anakin didn't survive.
Protect Anakin. That he didn't protect.
Yeah,
he didn't say
Anakin
either
didn't
way.
survive.
Could go either way with that.
Yeah, I don't think they know. I don't think they know. Anakin.
Yeah,
went
like
dark.
you trained Anakin.
I don't think we've seen the last of Owen and Beru here either.
No, I don't think so either. But
we'll get more of this.
I think they look at Obi-Wan look down at Obi-Wan for letting Anakin die, not for letting him turn.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they know that Anakin became a Sith Lord before he died.
I don't think anyone knows that, because again, basically, most of the witnesses to his atrocities are dead.
Yeah, I don't think it's widely known that Anakin is Darth Vader.
I don't think it's even widely known that Darth Vader exists. I think that because to your point earlier, Dave, if Obi-Wan knows that Anakin became Darth Vader, so if he thought he was still alive, if they had heard rumors of this guy named Darth Vader doing these atrocities across the galaxy,
I don't think anybody knows.
I don't think anybody knows that.
Yeah, I think anybody
Which is interesting. So
not on the news at night.
Report to him, or do they report to him?
Darth Vader's been around for 10 years. I can't believe nobody knows that.
That's what I'm saying. Darth Vader's
I think
like young
he's
Vader.
out there. I think he's he's the head of the SS. I mean,
He's
you
just
don't
Moff,
know
he's
that.
just
You know,
Moff
you don't know
Tarkin's
that much
right-hand
about
man
him
right now.
Well, but he's out there doing things, but it's not being publicized because the Empire controls all that flow of information.
Yeah, but do they?
There's still a Fox News. No, I'm sorry.
No, at the beginning of Star
Well, there
Wars,
is in all the expanded universe, but I don't think that they're publicizing that this henchman is out there doing these things.
Yeah,
I don't
at
think
the
anybody
beginning of
knows.
Star Wars, Darth Vader is just the right hand of Moff Tarkin. He's not this global figure, right? He's just a bad
No,
guy.
I think he's the
that
right
works
hand
for
of the
Tarkin.
Emperor,
Yeah.
and he's in
Not at
opposition
the beginning
to
of
Tarkin.
Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, it
That
is
was a
tough when-
little unclear, but I do think it was almost like.
I think he's the. Again, I think Tarkin's like the head of the military, and he's like the head of the SS kind of thing, where like they're at
Or,
cross
like,
purposes.
he's the vice
they both
president.
report to the same person, but they're
But
at cross
I
purposes.
think that Tarkin is basically the public face of the Empire because if you really look at it, the Emperor has kind of, and it even in the novelization of Star Wars, it even talks about the Emperor hasn't been seen in public for years. Like he's in hiding, but I think Tarkin is basically the face of the Empire, and Vader is his henchman.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, but I do agree. Nobody knows he's alive.
Right,
Obviously.
except,
And they-
except the certain Inquisitors, at least. Because
Well, I'm
there's
saying,
Revan-
but I also
Yeah.
know
I
that
think
was
they report to him.
Well,
running
again,
in my
I think
head.
his job is to hunt the Jedi down, and they're the vehicle that he uses.
Right, but what's interesting, and we'll get more, I'm sure, as this goes. Like, there's clearly a hierarchy within the Inquisitors, and she is not following that hierarchy at all.
Right.
And you know, you guys may feel differently. I did not love that actress that was playing Reva. I don't know why. It was just something about her.
She's very one note. I'll give you that.
She's almost. I would say the Inquisitors that we saw in the animated series are more lifelike than she was. I
Well,
think
even
she was-
Rupert Everett or whatever his name is.
Rupert Friend.
Yeah,
He
Rupert
was
Friend.
not very. I feel like they all have this sort of roboticness to them.
But also like,
But that's the way they were in the animated show. I feel like she's
Right.
not like that.
but they weren't working as a team either. I mean, they were basically working against each other, and it's like no wonder these people are getting away from them. You could have chased this guy. Instead, he dropped like a curtain and ran away. The guy in the bar.
But they all. I felt like the two of them were working as a team. Reva was working against them.
And that's what I'm saying. But even just it's
But do you cast somebody like Rupert Friend and have the Grand Inquisitor die in the second episode?
That's what
Like,
I was saying. He's too.
I don't think he's
like
done.
a little. He's like the second most well-known actor in this thing. Right?
know.
I mean,
yeah. I kind of feel like in the third episode he's going to come back and like I warned you
spider-
about that before. Don't do it.
Spider
again.
legs. They'll have spider legs. Like
That's right. No, don't do that again.
yeah.
This is the third time you stabbed me through the chest. I'm not
Yeah.
going to forget it again.
Interesting.
So, how many episodes till he lights up that lightsaber?
They better do it soon because there's only 4 more left.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
That's
so
the
let me
thing.
ask
I'm
you
like,
this. the unburying the two lightsabers
Yeah.
in the desert.
yeah.
Boy,
That
was
was
that a
pretty
call
great.
back, huh? I mean, it's our call forward. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what you do. That's the thing. That's
That's one
that's
more.
a known
one more,
Jedi thing.
one more box for Disneyland to make.
Yep.
Exactly.
I was thinking I'm going to make that box myself.
I did make a note. I wrote this down because, and this goes back to what we were saying before. The third brother asked Reva, "What is it you will gain by capturing him?" Meaning Obi-Wan, and she says, "What I'm owed." So
Telling you, she's got a
yeah, she's got a
grudge.
definitely got a grudge with Obi-Wan. It's personal. I thought Jimmy Smits. It was great to see Jimmy Smits back in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
that was nice. The clone trooper in the street.
Yeah, that was a little.
That was funny.
It was funny.
you-
No, it was fine.
when you've got Tamara Morrison on standby,
Okay,
why not?
I actually thought we were going to see him later. I thought when Obi-Wan was trying to escape, I thought like he was going to hold the door for him or do something, delay somebody or something like that, and then call him General.
Oh,
That would have been cool. Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like he was just going to like do something that slowed down the other guys and just say
that'd
like,
be interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do that.
like be the one person who looks at Obi-Wan and knows who Obi-Wan is.
I wonder if they filmed that and just bailed on it.
Yeah.
The other thing I just find interesting is sort of the Jedis can't help themselves, and this whole concept of the Jedis hunt themselves. Like, they are pretty predictable. Like, the fact that that they were able to put that plot together to kidnap Leia, and they knew Obi-Wan would show up.
Yeah.
It is, pretty Well,
she knew that he was close with Bail Organa, so that made sense.
Yeah, but it is interesting to me because, she's clearly lower on the hierarchy of the Inquisitors, and none of the Grand Inquisitors could put that together, but she was able to put that together, and she said she
could put
figured that out in the archives.
She also basically kidnapped a senator's kid, which is way out of bounds. I think anybody could have thought of that, but nobody else would have done it.
It doesn't. Right. And the Grand Inquisitor guy would have said no to that. It's just a little much. But he's the one that was saying that the Jedi, you find them because they're going to reveal themselves.
Yeah.
So that seems like, the motto.
So one thing that I will say I felt was a little strange, and maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but when Obi-Wan is having those nightmares or visions or whatever you want to call it, everything that they showed was something he witnessed, except little Anakin flying the ship. He obviously wasn't there for that. Why would they have even included that as part of it? Like, just so that we all remember that
I think
Anakin's a part of this? Because, everything else was something he was witness to.
I'm just wondering if there's really many scenes with them together. They just had
Probably
to show
not.
Something of. There's not a ton of stuff with them together.
No. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying that it took me out of it or that I'm reading too much into it, but it did strike me when it flashed on screen, and I've watched it twice now. I'm like, that's an odd thing to put in there because he clearly wasn't in the cockpit with him to see that.
Yeah, but he also sees himself in memories. So, right? So he's not seeing through his perspective.
No, but at least there's scenes that he was witness to.
But he's witnessing himself. So you can't narrowly focus it that way. I think it might be maybe he's seeing the Force recording of these.
He's thinking of him.
You're taking me out of it, Barry.
When Anakin came back and said, "Oh, you fought Darth Maul, and I was flying this yellow spaceship."
Yeah, I guess.
I think you're pushing it just a little too far.
I did love the variety of aliens that we got, especially in the second episode, and that dinosaur bounty hunter was kind of cool. But I love that scene where Reva was just up on the rooftops waiting. She knew that she would see something from up there. And then in the distance...
I was thinking it was Batman.
Well, it was similar to that, but just her seeing the blaster fire and that whole three-way fight between the Forlom droid, the dinosaur bounty hunter... You got Leia jumping off rooftops. Obi-Wan's just trying to stay alive. I thought that was a great.
And you couldn't use the Force a little to aim your laser blasts just a little better.
I will say
he did kill the dinosaur guy because he ends up
finally
kill the dinosaur guy. I will say, she's looking at this fight in the distance, okay, and I was like, she's going to jump 4 rooftops and she's going to be there. It's going to be really, but no, she just took
her forever to get there.
Kept going, and got there at a reasonable time.
She also ran like an animal. She was running and using her arms as almost like legs. It was actually a really interesting style of
kind of parkour
travel. With some parkour in there too, for sure.
Yep.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I couldn't get enough
through this thing. They just got to build her character up a little bit. And
I did like that even at the very beginning of the first episode, at the beginning of the recap, we got a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, that was cool. We haven't seen that.
It felt very, very Star Wars in a way that, and I've enjoyed every live action series more so than some of you guys have.
Yes.
And, the production values were outstanding.
Yeah.
It's definitely movie level.
Feels cinematic.
Yes.
I won't say this is the best live action they've done so far. This is the best looking production. they've done so far.
Did they use the volume? I know he said they did, but I felt like there was definitely some not.
I think there were some scenes where it felt like the volume, but other scenes where I thought they felt like they were on location.
And I will say, it felt Star Wars like. It didn't feel like prequel like. It didn't feel. I mean, it felt of a Star Wars era. The way the cave stuff was, that there was a minimalism to it. It just felt right. And
I loved his like security system was like the R2-D2 sensor scope thing.
it's like
Yeah,
a droid buried there. You know, it's like
I know. I was like,
did you catch that Bail Organa had R2 and 3PO?
I definitely saw
missed that.
3PO.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were at the party scene at the house.
Did you see R2? I definitely saw.
I didn't
3PO.
see
Yep,
R2.
I watched it twice. I didn't see him the first time, but I noticed him in the background the second time.
Oh, that's cool. Has he got the little serving thing like on?
Yeah, I think he was serving drinks or
that's
something.
So sad.
That's funny.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, I was psyched to watch both episodes, and then I had the same reaction as you, Dave. I'm like, oh, we got to wait a whole week now to
I
see the
know.
next.
I know.
I
And
rewatched them
Really?
both.
When is it? Is it Wednesday?
Friday?
Friday.
Is it Friday?
I think it's going to be Fridays.
I think it's sooner than that.
Oh, okay then.
Oh, there were announced the dates all over the place, and
Well,
I
you guys-
really didn't pay
You guys
attention
get
to
them at midnight, but I get them at 9 a.m. 9 p.m. I mean, so I get them.
Well,
Well, what they
something
did
like-
this time, they actually dropped it early, even earlier than normal, because they wanted it to coincide with the premiere they did at the convention.
Oh, okay. That was packed. Oh, the crowd that came out of that room. Man.
But it's so cool that everyone was there. You know, I mean, they're all. Oh, here's the release schedule. It's on Men's Health. Like seriously. Wednesday, June 1st.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Friday. That's even better.
Yeah.
June 1st, 8th, 15th, and 22nd.
Yeah. No, I thought it was. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, Ewan McGregor just transcends the material, even when it's good. You know, he's just so good at it.
And I know you said that you thought the first episode was depressing, and it was, but that final scene when he was getting on that ship and he moves his cape back and you see the lightsaber hanging on his belt, that gave me chills.
Needless, but still, yes.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
so good.
Todd, you've become jaded. You're
No, I'm saying
needless.
it's just, but why would you do a lightsaber flash? Okay, it's just like geez.
Sometimes you
you're a-
gotta.
you're a Jedi. That thing's in a sack in your underwear, so no one can see it, right?
That's it exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although not everyone who carries lightsabers are Jedi anymore, but still.
Did you notice too that when he took it out of the box, it was dirty and covered in dust, but when they saw it hanging on his belt, it looked like he'd cleaned it up?
They missed the whole polishing your saber montage.
That's it.
Well, but they showed him polishing his knives when he was cutting fish, so I guess he does have a thing about
He's got a
keeping his
ritual.
tools
So
clean.
my
Yeah.
wife asked me an interesting question after that. She said, "So, who has Obi-Wan's saber now?" Right, we saw it fall.
Blew
in
up with the Death Star.
Darth Vader was kicking it with his foot. What happened to it? Where's
Yeah,
the-
it went up with the Death Star.
Dave's right. It blew up with the Death Star.
It blew up
rolled
with the
into
Death
like
Star.
a little it was up against the kickboard or something in there, and it just it blew up with the Death Star.
With Death Star.
Unless Vader took it, but no one's gone through his things, so
He wouldn't have had it he wouldn't have taken it in the TIE fighter with him,
I don't think so.
right?
well,
That'd be a little
Well,
creepy.
if you go by sequel Star Wars logic, you know, when they blew up Starkiller Base, Vader's melted helmet should have been blown up, but yet he had it in the next movie. So, I mean, unless he ran back to his quarters to get that and take it with him when he left the planet
Oh,
before it
yeah.
blew up.
Yeah. EFX had a melted helmet that was really nice. I might have to get one of those. I don't
but
know.
isn't
Gnawing at me.
There's one
Galaxy's
at Disney.
Edge is selling
Yeah,
them.
Galaxy's Edge has a really nice one that's like a tenth of the price.
Oh, and that's for sale. I saw one on display there. That's actually for sale. There was no price tag on it.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
1-1 scale.
The box is gigantic. I saw a video of somebody walking out of Disneyland with it, and it was on. They had it on their head because
Oh,
it was such
gosh.
a big box.
I wonder how much it is. It's
Only like $350.
when that company came out with it, wasn't it like 2,500 or 3,500?
and I think EFX
Wow.
is well over 1,000, but the one at Disneyland was
Oh,
$350.
I'm going back one more time before we leave.
there you go, Brian.
California.
You
I'm
got
gonna
one more
pick
thing to
up.
pack.
One more thing to pack. Yep.
Leave a
why
big
don't you
space in the pod for it because the box
Get 4
is
of them and then move them, and then we'll come pick them up.
Come pick them up.
I'm sure they'll have them.
I'm excited that I didn't realize that we got a next one on Wednesday. You just made my night.
I'm behind on so many things.
But it might be Wednesday at midnight, Barry, so it might be a late night.
That's okay. I'll watch it Thursday.
Well, why they wouldn't say
No,
when.
I think it's Wednesday. I think it's
So it's probably Tuesday at midnight.
It's Tuesday at midnight. Or
well, no, 3 a.m. on the East Coast.
The
3 a.m.
first minute of 3 a.m. Anyway,
That's
I'm behind on stuff. I haven't watched the new Star Trek either.
Yeah, and Stranger Things dropped 7 episodes.
I gotta hold on for a little while before I watch that.
So far behind on everything. And the
we
movie,
stayed up till 1 a.m. last night watching the first 3 episodes of Stranger Things.
Aren't they like an hour and a half each?
Most of them are an hour and 10 to an hour and 20, and then there's one that I think is an hour and a half.
And I've got to get to the theater and see Top Gun too. So,
yep.
We'll talk about Top Gun next week.
Next week, yeah.
Dave and I saw it, and Todd is going to see it tomorrow. You said, Todd?
I think so.
Yeah. I wore my Top Gun watch to go see it.
I hear good things.
Oh, what did you hear? Someone said Tom Cruise, and you know that means good things.
I don't have a beer to drink now. You mentioned Tom Cruise. I can't drink.
Oh.
I drank when Todd said comic books, but I did.
That's right.
I like that. Is there a whole game behind the scenes that we don't know about?
There's a whole drinking game.
Dave says Tom
what you guys are going to say. Yeah,
Barry says Willow.
Yeah, Barry says Willow.
I'll tell you. Okay. I'll tell you a funny story. So one of the, they have all kinds of. You go out to dinner, and then they had a movie and TV trivia, thing at one of the adult bars. It was actually pretty crowded. There were a good amount of people. A lot of Marvel questions, but first of all. I had a couple drinks, and there were a couple things I had to correct them because they basically had men versus the women, and you yell out the answers. So someone said, so one of the questions was, this actress replaced, what's her face? Now I'm drawing a blank on her. Replaced anyway the character of Rachel Dawes in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh no!
And I yelled out Maggie Gyllenhaal, and she's ugly. And Pam just started freaking out. And then one of the questions was, I'll give you the question. I'll give you the question.
It's been a while since we had a Maggie Gyllenhaal reference on the show.
What's the name of the ship in Aliens?
What's the Nostromo?
The
Aliens.
The Sulaco.
Sulaco. It's the Sulaco.
Okay.
So I yell out Sulaco. No. And then someone like a couple people yelling stuff, and someone yelled Nostromo. And I'm screaming at them, you're wrong. You said aliens. Aliens is Sulaco. Alien is Nostromo. And there was something else I had to...
And were they like, sir, we need you to leave?
Pam was like, you have to shut up. You have to shut up. Part of the thing was questions and others was theme songs. So they played the theme song to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And someone yelled out, Indiana Jones. I'm like, that's not right. That's not the movie is not called Indiana Jones. Anyway,
it's called Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, that's a whole thing we can debate too.
It is not, nor is it A New Hope.
So was there a prize to all this, David?
No,
did you win?
No, it wasn't a prize. I did have a lot of answers. I'll give myself that pat on my back.
My friend Brian Barry, he was the guy that went to
Yes, I met him.
So when Brian lived in Atlanta, we went to a bar and there's a trivia competition. And I am a trivia asshole. Okay. I can't get sports questions, but I can get everything else. You won pitchers of beer. We had 11 pitchers of beer on our table. And I'm like giving them to other people who were pissed off at us. But I'm just kidding. And Brian's like, maybe stop now.
This was a lot of Marvel questions, so I don't know why. But
this was all, and like I said, but it was,
because it's the most popular thing out there right now.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, all right, we've gone on for quite some time, so we'll wrap
it's been a
this
while.
Oh, I got to have a what's in the box because I've got a what's in a box. It's in a box.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
What's in the box?
You're a guest. You can do what you want.
I have got
Oh yes, let's talk about that, please.
It's a Disney exclusive. I picked him up at Disneyland just the other day, and it's what's it? It's got a number, NX something.
So is it Captain Rex or is it the bartender from?
No, it is Captain Rex in the
thought.
box he's in Star Tours now, as they're packing him up to ship him away.
Right.
Oh.
So it's the Star Tours Captain Rex in the actual box he's in when they're packing him. So if you walk through Star Tours, when you first get into the wait area, if you look down, Captain Rex is in a box because they're shipping him out, and he says a few things. And this one talks too.
Right, and so let's just be clear, because we're seeing it, but we're talking about Rex, the pilot from the original Star Tours, not Captain Rex, the clone trooper.
Right.
The original Captain Rex, the one
Yes.
from Star Tours. Yeah.
Who I love, who Pee Wee Herman did the voice of.
Yeah.
Is it move or is it a statue?
No, it's a statue, and it weighs a ton.
But it does speak, and I think light up as well, right?
I don't think. Let's see.
Boy, his right claw is very B9, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Let's see. Does it light up? Yeah.
Oh, he lights up too. That's cool. Whenever they get in the
He's
audio.
a lot more Zeroid looking than I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they've repurposed him now as the bartender, or not the bartender, the DJ in Olga's Cantina.
Yeah, that's funny.
And he was they also had him as a card dealer in Book of Boba Fett.
Right, and actually, there were two of these running around at the Droid room.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, because the ones from Boba Fett were built by the Droid builders.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think our friend Gordon actually had a hand in that.
Yeah, Gordon was everywhere at this show.
I saw him on stage at one point with Anthony Daniels being interviewed.
Yeah.
That's because Gordon's 3PO a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, there's been plenty. Let us know if you went to the celebration. I know some of you out there did. Definitely some of our listeners did. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you thought of Obi-Wan. It's already 2 days and it's already third episode. That feels
and
good.
Just if they introduce any new characters in this next episode, wait at least 24 hours before you post it on social media, people, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, public service announcement from Barry.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.